So we're what I would refer to as in the Outer Banks. We're about 45 minutes away, and we're stopping at a couple of different thrift stores, checking to see what we can find to flip on eBay for good profits. If you enjoy content like this, please consider liking the video, and if you are new to the channel and haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing for checking out more great content like this. So we're going to head into this Goodwill and see what we can find. This is a store I go to periodically when I'm in that area. That happens to be in the same kind of location as our airport. So in this case, I was dropping someone off at the airport, so I had time to go check out some thrift stores. And so I'm familiar with this store and know exactly where I want to start. I want to get away from all these clothes here and all the shoes and clothes and things that I'm not going to look at, and get back here to the games and the toys and the electronics and the kitchen. So first stop on the tour is what they have for board games. Not much. I think I've seen most of those games the last time I was here, which was probably a while ago. They have a little bit of bag toys, not much. I have found good stuff in here in the past. It's just a small store, so there's not much to look at. Normally, you could, if you really wanted to, you could get in and out of this store pretty quickly as a reseller, which is, I guess, is nice if you've got several places to try. And we're going to try a couple of different places. But in this case, I'm not seeing much. I'm looking for unique items. A lot of times I have found bulk toys here, like a whole bin of Connects or a whole bin of Imaginext. In fact, I had a whole bin of Imaginext that I think I bought here recently and just sold that. So always looking for the bulk buy. So back here, there's the locked down restrooms, which is kind of common for Goodwills in my area. And then here's some electronics. So they'll have like a few calculators, some remote controls, some camera tripods. I always take a quick peek, see if I see any Bogen Manfrotto tripods, any HP calculators, or really good Texas Instrument ones. That was $10, I think, for a VHS rewinder. It was probably a good one because it was a much older one, and I've had good luck with the older ones. They seem to be more bulletproof, but not $10 worth. This store actually has a pretty good electronics section. I've been surprised on things that I've gotten here. And to be honest, the prices aren't too bad. Now, I'm, like I said, 45 minutes away, and Goodwill does give you a roughly 7 days. I found out later on that it's actually more than 7 days, but the important thing is you keep the sticker on it for electronics. But I'm looking for anything that might be worth grabbing. Now there's a doubler, a VHS DVD, but it was not one I was going to pick up. I don't remember what that was. I don't think this store has a discount color. At least I don't remember seeing that when I came in. What I did find out is this store is part of the same Goodwill group as the store that I normally go to. So if I were to buy that massager and it didn't work, I could take it back to my store instead of traveling 45 minutes again to come back to this store. So that's a little bit of a relief. Makes it a little easier to buy things electronics wise in the event they don't work. So I do end up looking at that massager, and There's several different versions that I've looked at those before, and they had this one kind of priced up. I think they had it at, I want to say $25, which was on the fringe depending on what model it was. And now you can see that's a silver or gray model, not the gold model. I put in the cart. I do end up taking it back out, but there are certain models that are worth picking up and certain ones just aren't. Now, I didn't used to look so heavily in the cookware section, but I have been doing that quite a bit lately, looking for you end up finding high-end cookware donated in your local Goodwill. So I think that's a KitchenAid mixing bowl. There I am with my camera. They're typically not worth buying at the prices you're going to pay at a Goodwill. I think I have bought one before, but it was new in the box, so kind of got lucky there. Looking for anything that is something I could buy cheaply and part out. Just not seeing anything on this trip through. It's always kind of fun to go to a store you're not used to going to, because almost everything you see is new to you. Now, I will, spoiler alert, I ended up going to this Goodwill, I think 3 times in the matter of a couple of weeks, because not only did I come here for a drop off at the airport, I also came again because I just happened to be in the area, and then again on the airport pickup. I think this was actually this trip was actually the middle trip. So that's a brand of tennis racket I had not seen before, and so anytime I see a brand that is not Wilson or Head or Prince, I take a closer look, and turns out some of those are really good and some are not as good. I think there's other brands like Yonex, and there's a few that I've Babolat. They have really good ones, and then ones that are just so not worth picking up. So in this case, I think this was one of those not so good, not worth picking up. So I do end up leaving this one behind as well. One of the cool things about reselling is learning as you go. I try to kind of build my knowledge base any chance I can, and so you kind of use your basic spidey senses to pick something up, and then learn as much as you can about it, about the product or the brand or the models. Just kind of keep it in the back of your mind. So you may be, a lot of times, you see me looking at my phone here, scanning my phone, but there's a lot of times you're in places where there's no cell service. So you're really having to go off your stored memory, your stored knowledge base on whether or not you should buy something. And to be honest, sometimes that's really worked out for me, and sometimes I've missed a great opportunity because I just didn't have anything to back it up. So in this case, I put that back, checking in there. I just recently sold a great Wilson Pro Staff vintage tennis racket that I got very cheaply, and for under $3, and sold it for, I think I sold it for $100. It took a little while, but sometimes you just find things that you're going to score on. That little electronic game I thought it was like a Pac-Man or something. I've got a bunch of those, but that was a different game I'd never seen before, but really wasn't worth picking up for me. So this store has a very interesting way of pricing things. Their DVDs and Blu-rays and things are priced very high, like $5 to $8, I think, a piece for the normal Blu-ray DVD. And then their records are 99 cents. And their VHS are 99 cents. So I'm looking at this whole set of sealed IMAX Blu-ray or DVDs, and I was really, I was looking for 3D ones, but I started thinking, gosh, these are really nice. They're all sealed. And they're all like $5 a piece. So I did look online, and yes, you could get that whole set for very cheaply, brand new. So we obviously aren't going to grab that for reselling. So whenever I look at Blu-rays, I grab anything that says 3D. So these both were 3D. I already had the Pirates of the Caribbean 3D. I did not have that Mad Max, and so even though it was marked $8, I found myself still buying it. A little frustrated that I even did that. I should have put it back, but it had all 3 discs, and I've quietly built quite a huge 3D Blu-ray collection. Now we have a big 3D TV, which to me it's great fun watching. Everyone else thinks it's like seasickness, so you got to take it or leave it. So in here was a huge stack of anime DVDs. Now they were all $4, I think $4 or $5 a piece. I ended up just putting them all in my cart, and then I sorted through them, and I only got 4 of them. I probably shouldn't have even got the 4 because they really, none of them were really worth a ton, but I grabbed 4 that I thought were part of sets that might be valuable at some point. And then I do look through the records here. Normally it's the triple C's, which is classical, Christian, and country. And normally they smell a little bit like Grandma's Basement, but in this store, because they're only $1, sometimes you get laser discs in here for $1. I got several laser discs on a recent trip. And sometimes you find the 12-inch singles, which I also got several 12-inch singles here recently. So we're out of that store. We're still in the Outer Banks, but here we are at probably one of my favorite stores to go to. This is a big Value Village. For those of you that have Savers, it's basically, I think it's the same company even, but very similar looking if you go into a Savers. And so if I'm in the area, I go to this store for sure. I go to the Goodwill if I have a chance. But this is such a large store that it's and their prices are pretty good. I would say of all the thrift stores I go to, this one probably has the best prices. You don't have a 7-day return policy, so if you're gonna buy something electronic, you better make sure it works. And you're gonna see later on why that was really important when we go to another thrift store. So this store does have a little jewelry section, and then on the back wall there, they got a bunch of stuff that they're not going to just set out. You got to go ask about it. And right now it's just a bunch of shoes, and I think it's like an $85 Xbox One with no controllers and no power cord. So it's weird how they price stuff. I've in this same store, I've bought Xbox Ones off the shelf for $10. And for some reason, some of the pricers get real giddy when they see a video game system. I don't know why I thought that was cool. It was a very weird looking King Kong. They put a little bit of this weird collectible stuff up here. And this caught my eye because I've sold one of these before. For the life of me now, I can't remember what the model was, but it's basically a vintage massager. And this one has a controller that you can turn the power up and down, and then the actual thing that does the vibrating. This one was really cool looking. They had it marked at $20, If they had marked at, half of that, I might have picked it up because it had the box. It was just a really nice condition. I actually sold the exact same one before without the little accessory pieces or anything for pretty good money. But it's such a long tail on selling stuff like that I'm trying to stay away from buying resell items that just take forever to sell. I got to get out of that business and get into the quick sell business. So as you can see, this is a pretty good sized store. Lots of this kind of stuff. And I've been on the hunt for stainless steel coffee carafes. Any good cookware. I don't spend a ton of time in those sections because there's just so much to look at. I'm trying to maximize my opportunities and minimizing my time in the store. So doing a real quick scan for any cookware that I think might be good. Maybe now tell me which ones do you buy and which ones don't you buy? I can never remember that when I'm in the store. Plus, we have quite a bit of a collection of Revereware right now that it's going to take me forever to get through it. So I'm not going to add to it if I don't have to. I have bought and I do look for things like Salad Master. Now, here's something that originally it caught my eye because I thought it was a Mr. Coffee, but it was actually a Hamilton Beach. I didn't look it up. Maybe it would have been a good buy, but I have sold the little Mr. Coffee ones or the Space Saver ones. But Hamilton Beach, I figured probably wasn't going to be worth it. Maybe I should have looked that up, but I'm also, trying to minimize my buying of things that are potentials and not clear winners. I wasn't even sure what that was. It said sous vide on the front. I think it was supposed to have a whole bunch of other stuff, and clearly the pricer thought it was worth that with nothing. You'll notice that bread machine sitting next to it. That was weirdly priced up and the lid didn't close. I think in another video in this store I see there's two of those and they're both the same model. One's priced way up and one's priced way down. So I think it depends on who's out there pricing. So there's what I was looking for. And I think in the haul portion I talk about those little marks. Those all came right off with a little bit of little cotton swab with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. All cleaned up great. This is a great unit. I do have to say this store is disorganized. I mean, in general, there's sort of things are sort of near each other, but I think maybe that's good for hunters. Hunters looking for great stuff. You can't just go to one area and find it. That was a Samsung, like a DVD drive, no power cord, and of course they have a weird power cord, so you're not going to buy that. The pricing is odd to me because there's so many things on the shelf that are priced in a manner that nobody's going to buy them. But if they priced them a little bit cheaper, there would probably be an audience for it. In this store, they bag up a lot of little electronic things, and who knows what's in the bags. You can't see, you can't open the bag, you can't buy an open bag, so very weird. Some kind of toolbox. I have to say, I have bought some great stuff in this store for as weirdly organized as it is. But it's usually haphazard. Like, here's a bunch of these things, and then here's something that has nothing to do with it, but I find it here. And there's 2 remote controls that went to something. So I don't think I got anything on that. On that side, at least. So back here's the things like stereos and printers and keyboards and TVs, and there's a testing center. That was kind of a cool now serving number so-and-so LED board. So I did not end up buying this, but I did end up putting it in my cart. I think it just wasn't as valuable as I thought it was going to be. It was one of those devices that I think a lot of homeowners insurance companies really push, and it's basically senses what it would tell that you had a water leak somewhere in your house by the continuous water flow in your house, and then it would shut off the water. And, it makes perfect sense that you would want something like that. In that case, it was nice condition, looked brand new. It just wasn't worth it. Just wasn't worth buying it. So not to resell it, at least. There's a bunch of exercise equipment and toys. I got some great toys here not too long ago. A great Hot Wheels set right on the shelf, right above the head of a reseller who was scanning all the stuff in his cart. Nope. Watch out, little buddy. This aisle is a continual daycare, but there's plenty of room to get around. So I'm looking for any kind of bag toy that maybe is like a bag of vintage G.I. Joe figures, which I have bought in a bag before. Not this time, though. Sometimes you can find Hot Wheels, so I always look for red lines. These are, I think you can measure the inflation rate by how small these bags get, because the size of these bags has gotten smaller and smaller over time. They used to be much bigger bags, and now they're much smaller bags. So there's your shrinkflation in the reseller world, or the thrift store world. You'll notice this big pole on the cart, and that's because these carts aren't allowed to go out of the store. And if you saw, I parked way in the back of the parking lot, so I'm thinking, oh man, how am I going to get all my stuff? If I buy a whole bunch of stuff, how am I going to get it out to my car? Am I going to have to make 10 trips? And so luckily, what I learned was they actually, the security guy in the front of the store, he'll actually give you a outside the store cart that you use to take your stuff out to your car, and then you got to make sure and bring it right back. But it's the times we're living in, I don't know if they do that because they don't want people stealing their shopping carts, or they just don't want to have to go out into the parking lot and pick them back up. It could be that as well. That was a massive hand cleaner thing that you'd find like in a public restroom. One of those, it would hold like a huge bag of soap. Thought that was kind of cool. Maybe I put that in our own bathroom here and just have a huge bag of soap in there. So I haven't. There were some toys or games there. I think they kind of break this up a little bit, because I'm over in the kids section and I haven't even gone to the game section or the media books section yet. They're it's kind of like when you're trying to like watch your weight and you go to the grocery store and they tell you just to shop the aisles. That's kind of what this is for me. The entire center of the store is clothes and shoes, and so I shop the aisles, or shop the walls, I guess, to maintain my reselling health. I'm sure at some point I will sell clothes, but just not something I want to do. So back in this little corner is where the $5 records are, and the DVDs, Blu-rays, and whatnot. Books, cassette tapes, video games. Everything there is pretty high priced. There's some comic books there. But strangely, they price their board games pretty reasonable. I hardly ever see a board game over $10. I can't even remember buying a board game for $10 in this store. These are pretty good sellers. I have a bunch, so I was really hesitant about buying that one, but I think it was only maybe, $5 or $6, and the box was in pretty good shape. I didn't try to count pieces or anything in the store, and when I did get home and counted the pieces, I was missing one tile. Now, unfortunately, these tiles are a little bit different color, so I'm kind of putting this game in my future sales. I'm not going to go buy one tile, but if I come across another of the same game, I'll just kind of build up a reserve of pieces. They got VHS tapes there, and then I kind of looked through this section. I found some weird mystical books here before, and then they also have a little bit of a sci-fi section that I also looked through. Their books are reasonably priced, I think, for the most part. So I am trying to get out of the store here. I think you get to a point where you feel like, okay, I've been here too long. I still got to kind of decide on whatever I've got in my cart. Here's some books. I think there was a muscle book, or yeah, there's a cool car racing book. There's so many books like that just are not worth anything, but not as a reseller. I can't fathom selling a book for $5 with free shipping. Maybe there must be some technique to that, but I don't understand that. So if I sell books, I typically sell them in a lot of books, like maybe a bunch of the same author or a bunch of the same kind of books. That's how I'm gonna do it. So just doing a quick scan, just trying to see if I see anything that looks like maybe a book I need. Here's I think there was some sci-fi in here. Yep, I don't think that's sci-fi. That's a Western book. I'd buy that. Nice copy. So I have a couple of sets of books that I have bought to resell, and then maybe I'm missing one book out of the set. Last year I sold a set of the Robert Jordan Wheel of Time paperbacks that I got at a garage sale, but one of the books was just in not good shape. And turns out in a bunch of books that I got at one time, I got that particular book. And so I was able to go through my hoard of just random books, find it, swap it out, and got my sale pretty quickly after that. So when I get them cheap, like I wouldn't do that in this store, but when I do get sci-fi or other books like that cheap, I have them. There's a Wheel of Time book. I have them. I think I almost bought. That's the book right there, book 4. That's the one I bought, or that I needed a new copy. If you get those cheap, I just kind of collect them until I get at least close to the series, to the complete series. Those Wheel of Time paperbacks, I think there's 15 or 16 of them. I sold that set for like $180 plus shipping, and I think I paid $15 at the garage sale for it. So certain book sets are just worth collecting over time. I will pick up like a thicker book because, in my mind, it probably cost a lot more originally when it was new, so maybe it's worth more used, but that one wasn't. See, I'm checking the big books. But there's a Stephen King. It's kind of a game. I've run into people at like estate sales or other rummage sales, and they are scanning every book with their Amazon sellers or whatnot, and they just are scanning every book, like book after book after book, looking for that thing that pops as a valuable book. And good on you if you can do that. I would rather kind of build a little bit of knowledge on what books to look for, and then when I see that type of book, go ahead and look. I was really thinking about grabbing those, but the condition on the 2 Wheel of Times books just weren't that great. Not good enough for me to pay. I think they were $2 or $3 for a paperback. There's it was some kind of muscle book, Juiced or something. So the one thing I never do is look for shoes, but I'm convinced that someday I'm going to find a bunch of kind of those orthopedic type shoes that I see flipping junk selling all the time, and I didn't see any of those here. So, and I don't think the prices of shoes here were all that great. I think they're a little bit marked up. I'd rather someone get a pair of shoes that they need to get through the day than me grab a whole bunch of them and try to resell them. Say, what was that, $25 for that pair? Those are some big shoes. I don't know since I don't sell shoes, what's the theory? Is it bigger shoes are better to resell, or is it the most common sizes? I can't tell. See, I'm just looking like something. There's going to be like a flash that I'm going to see when I pick up a pair of shoes that says these are good ones to pick up and resell. And nothing's happening. My toolkit is bare for shoes. So I sent this to my kids. They were in Awana and we built many Grand Prix cars. There was a whole bunch of these boxes of just the blocks of wood and the wheels. And they really wanted, I think after the fact, after I left the store, they really wanted me to buy those. But there's a whole bunch of boxes up there too. We won, my kids and myself even, we won many a trophy with our Pinewood Derby cars. One last scan through the. See, she's got daycare cleanup duty right there. one last scan through this section just to see if there's, after it looks like it's gotten cleaned up, so who knows, maybe something got put out. I don't think so though. There's a typewriter. I look at typewriters, look at keyboards. I think that was a Canon typewriter, so I've got a couple of the big heavy IBM Selectric typewriters, ones that weigh about 40 pounds. Tell me if you've sold those. What was your shipping method? Because I've got two of them. I actually got at a different Value Village for I think $5 or $6 a piece. They're just beasts, and I haven't tried to sell them because I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to ship them. But I think with my Insta foam packs that I recently got, I think I could use those to create the kind of the box packing material, custom packing material. That off. And one last thing. Does anyone remember which wiffle bats are worth anything? I have a wiffle bat that I think was not worth buying, but there's so many different wiffle bats. So we're on to the last, the third store. I cut out the video of the last store, but I do show you the two things I bought. But this is a normal stop for me if I am in the area. And again, the bars on the carts. But I really like these Value Villages. The prices just are usually pretty good, and I tend to either look right up front at the stuff under the glass, the super valuable stuff in their opinion, or head back, look at appliances. Oh, that was a camera bag. I'm sure the camera that was in it was no longer in it. Back here, there's electronics. And again, very similar to the other Value Village that I was just in, kind of haphazard organization. It almost looks like the same store. If you didn't realize this is a completely different store, you would think it was the same store I was just in. So electronics, then toys, then bagged toys. And on the very far end is bagged dolls, like Barbie dolls. And I look at, when I'm over on that end, I look at those just to see if I see any Monster High dolls, and then that's pretty much it. That was a CB, I think, CB radio. Here's another Bogan Manfrotto tripod. Now, weirdly, I do end up buying this one. It was only, I think, $6. It was missing the adjustment bar, but not that it was broken. It was just missing it. Not needed, really. Weirdly, I think on my next trip to the store, I found another one of those. The same model, same head, but nicer, had the bar, and I think I paid $10 for it. Those were a couple of Apple keyboards, the wireless keyboards. Oh, I was really hoping that was going to be sealed. I've sold those before. Those are vintage tennis balls. They had a little key on the bottom that you would break off, and then you would turn the top of the can and to unseal it, kind of like a ham. If you're old enough to remember opening a canned ham. But unfortunately that was open already, and the balls were long, flat. But if you ever find those are definitely worth grabbing if you get them cheap. So here's this Rock Band guitar. So it was pretty cheap, $5 or $6, I think. It was missing a little piece there, no strap, no dongle, of course. So I'll show you the comps here, but I buy those pretty regularly, depending on which model they are. Those ones have pretty good resale, and we still have our Rock Band set that my kids got. So I still have my dongle set, so I can easily test that. And if it doesn't work, I will just turn it into parts. Just the battery cover sells for about $10 plus shipping. There were some cool drills, not cool enough. Like tools like that, some of those are worth selling just as a tool only, battery powered tool. But they get a certain amount of wear to them, and then they're not worth selling. So I'm glad I grabbed that VCR. It was only like $5 or $6, a JVC. If they're that cheap, now because I can't return anything from this store, I will go up to the front of the store, find a VHS tape, and come back to this testing station and test the VCR. At least that the tape goes in and out and stuff. And I'm glad I did that, because this couple that I'm just passing, they had a bunch of stuff in their cart, and they were looking through everything at the test station, and they left me something amazing. So rare. I'm sure it was them, because I didn't see it earlier when I walked past there, and there they are. So I'm going to head up to the front of the store to get a VHS tape so I can test this VCR before I buy stuff and head out of the store. You're going to see something so rare, so amazing. And it was, I did not have my video camera running because I was ready to leave the store. I just needed to do one quick test, grab a tape. But when I got back to that testing station, this is what I found sitting there. This is a vintage Sony transistor radio from the 50s. And I was kind of blown away by the value of this thing. And I was able to take the back off right there just to check the insides. Immaculate. I'll show you pictures of the actual insides. But this thing is so rare, so valuable. I did pay, I think, $14 for it. But I'm pretty sure that couple, I don't know where they found it, but I'm pretty sure it was in their cart. And I'm pretty sure they decided not to buy it. So if you're watching this, I'm sorry you didn't buy it, but thank you for putting it there, because I did buy it. And I have the only one listed on eBay right now. So listen to this.
Track, and Josh Naylor has a single. So a base hit with 2 outs. As we take a look at our premium matchup presented by Alaska Airlines, the official airline of the Seattle Mariners, and your new gateway to the world. Experience a new level of comfort aboard Alaska.
Okay, we're back. It was kind of a long day. We ended up going to 2 different cities, 2 different Goodwills, 3 different cities, 2 different Goodwills, 2 different Value Villages, and Half Price Books where we didn't buy anything. But let me go through everything I got here, and I'll put up model numbers and comps and things for these. But we'll start, I think we'll start right up front here. This was the first Goodwill. This printer, this is a, I forget what they really call them, but the multi-high definition ink printer, an Epson Stylus Photo R280. I paid $20 for it. I can return this if it doesn't work. I have another one of these that I bought in the box on discount day for $2 that I can't return. I tested that one with new ink, and I've got a couple of jets that I can't seem to clear. So we'll see what this one does. If this one is just a total turd, I'll just return it. It was $20. And then at the same store, I got several Blu-ray and several DVDs. These anime DVDs, these were all $4, and then I ended up paying $8 for this Mad Max Fury Road 3D. I don't have this one, so paid up for that. And then I bought these ones, not the others, because these seem to have better comps. So I'll show you those as well. So on to the next stop. We only bought 2 items at this the Value Village. We got this Sony boombox. I've sold these before. Oops. Sold these before. And this one looks terrible, but all those marks will come right off. So not worried about that. No dents or anything. And other than those marks, it looks pretty good. I paid $11 for it, and I'll show you the comps for that. Let me put that back. And then the other thing was this Scrabble board game. I have several of those that I really need to list. I think I have one listed, but I have several of them. Those are always pretty good. I paid $6. The game itself is in really good condition, has all the instructions and paperwork as well. So that was the first Value Village, the second stop. And then on the way home, we stopped at another Value Village, and that's where I got back here this Rock Band guitar. Not in great condition. It's missing the little switch cover, but this was more of a parts unit. I only paid $5. It's got the strap knobs, it's got the battery cover. The battery cover in here is actually really good too. So this one may end up being serviceable, just needs to be cleaned up, and cover here. So it looks like maybe it was sold before at maybe a Goodwill even. So we'll see. I felt like for $5 it was worth it just for parts. So I'll show you comps there as well. And then we also got this boombox, $5. Now you'll notice I don't buy these if the antennas are bad. That one has a good antenna, and then this one also has a good antenna. So we check antennas first on any of these boomboxes. Now hopefully the CDs work and the tape works, but for $5 I thought it was worth a shot. These Value Village, you can't return anything. Goodwill you can, you get 7 days. So we'll see about that. Next thing down was this JVC VCR, and I did check it. I tested it by just playing a tape in the store. I played it, rewound it, fast forward, and then did a fast forward and rewind, and all seemed good. So I've had good luck with these JVC, this version. So this was only $6. And then the second to last item was this Bogan Manfrotto. Turn that around here. This is the only type of tripod that I will buy to resell, and they're very simple to comp because the tripod itself has a number, and this one, and usually they're etched on one of the legs. This one's a 3001N, and then the head also has a number, and this was a 3126. So I'll show you a comp. I think there was actual comps of this specific one, and I only paid $7, and it's in really good shape. So the last item you didn't see this because I actually saw this when I went back to test the VCR, and I had turned my camera off. This is a 1957 Sony transistor 6 transistor radio. Not terrible condition. It does have a crack here and a little crack that I can see there, but the strap is here. The knobs turn, even though this one's a little off kilter. I did take the back off. You see I paid $14 for this. I did take the back off. The contents look good. The battery tray is clear. I've never seen one of these before, and I could not really get a great comp on this one because I couldn't find it. But some of these other ivory 1950s Sony radios have great resale. So we're going to test this out first to see if it even works. But I think just based on some of the comps for similar radios, I think it was worth $14. And I think we left 2 items out here. So the last stop was the Goodwill in my town, and they had, today was purple was 50% off. So I got this Samsung Blu-ray player, no remote, and I'll put the model number up. This was $8, so I paid $4. You saw me buy a couple of other Blu-ray players the other day on discount at $2. One didn't work, and the other I really have to have a remote because it's the kind that has built-in speaker terminals, and so you have to, with the remote, direct the sound either out of HDMI or the speakers. So I need a remote for that one. So in this case, this one doesn't work. I can return it, and it was $4. And then back here is a Panasonic bread machine. These are really, really good resale. I don't know about this particular model. This was $14.99, but no, orange was $2 a day. So I can't return it, but I typically don't sell these anyway. I only sell this part. And the pan itself, really good shape, and the paddle is in there. So I'll show you the comps on this, but this is really it for those bread machines. This is all I take out of it and sell. This gets disposed of. So it's important if you're doing that to make sure that the paddle and pan are in there. A lot of times the paddles disappear sometimes. People conveniently walk off with them. But in this case, it was there.